All right. So yeah, what custom do you have in mind?
It was Shinra, and I always forget the
Shinra
last
the
name.
Fire Dude?
Yeah, I'm not sure
Uh,
if you have the last version that I made of him. I
I
have a
have a
copy of it myself.
V4.
I have a version 8, so
Oh, well, that's a few on. All right. Let me prevent you, and you can spot him in.
thank you.
I'm gonna erase the salt placeholder over here.
Exceed.
Just to be explicit, you are asking for it. I'm not particularly kind when I review things, so.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm familiar with your reviewing.
All
You
right.
helped me with this character a lot the last time I actually was working on him. I remember he was problematic. I think his base abilities still might need some tweaking because I think you had problems with it, but I can't remember what advice you gave me the last time we talked about it.
Gotcha. Well, I don't recall much at all, just in general, but especially right now. All right.
It has been like over a year since I actually played Exceed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was kind of surprised you popped out of nowhere. Not displeased. I recall that you were pretty active making customs, and yeah, it's just been a minute. We still occasionally, like, when we talk about customs, bring up yours as, like, oh yeah, one of the more prolific custom creators for a period of time. Like, you and Eclipse were in, who was it? Unistad Blue, was it?
Yeah.
We're, like, training out a bunch of designs close at the same time. Alright, so Shinra, after from the move action, you may strike. Obviously good ability. It is, like, notably expensive because you're giving up an interim draw, but it lets you change the board state pretty rapidly. That's good. Like, depends a lot on the kit, but that's good. Exceed ability. You actually move up to 1, draw 1, and strike. Very significant upgrade. Still not crazy. Like, this is within reason, as from what I can tell. Like, you get an extra space of movement, but you still have to pay for the action itself, so you can at most move 1 by paying a 4... Or, sorry, at most conservative and most efficient, you pay a force, move 1 or 2 spaces, or move back where you were, draw a card and strike. So, like, at worst, this is change cards 1 and strike. Definitely not worth 3 gauge at that point. But yeah, definitely not bad. So, decent ability, decent exceed ability.
Yeah, I think the main point of this was the combos of being able to position yourself when you need to for the strikes of his various abilities. Because their positioning was really dependent.
Yeah, that's how this reads. Alright. Wake up call, 1, 2, 3, 6. Servant's cross shape. Crit before close. Oh, he's critical. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, okay, critical's on there. Alright. So becomes above curve at 3. Hit if you move 2 or more spaces this turn, plus 2 power. So that obviously synergizes with the ability. Okay. Yeah, that's cute. It's like a fairly high cost for it to become a 1 to 3 5 sorry 1 to 3 5 6 because you have stake move action then crit, but in general as a defensive tool, like it's okay, a little low in damage. Backstep lunge is a phenomenal boost. Synergizes naturally with the attack as well. So inclined to put that like middle of the road because the attack is a tool, little costly for its value. The boost is fantastic. Flying kick 1 3 5 before advance 3. Okay, this is a moonfall style flying kick, which makes sense. Critical hit push to a 3. Okay, so the crit is here to be like more utility, but like the fact that it can push 3 means it's also safe against sweep sometimes. I think this usually just gets played as an above curve poke to build gauge. Retreat 2 if you're range 3, take another action. Alright, this is fine. This is like solid. Nothing amazing. Just does a job. Doesn't do much damage, but like works. Yeah, another crit that like I'm not really seeing quite the value for it. It does make it safe against sweep, which is notable. Fire double before advance 2. Crit hit if you move past the opponent, ignore guard. Okay, that's a pretty relevant crit at range 2. Excuse me. At range 2, wake up calls crit doesn't really matter. It could actually. If you only moved 1 with your ability, then it could matter. So potentially irrelevant except there, because you do want to play defensive into wake up call and not defensive into fire double. That's useful. Like, somewhat expensive because we're spinning on a lot of crits, and like if these are safe pokes, then they're trading down, and if we're using our ability, then we're spending resources. So I still feel like we're missing something in terms of being able to draw or develop resources or whatever. Power attack is kind of a good button for that. So I feel like power attack is important on this kit because I'm seeing like above curve if crits, but a dire need for more gauge than we actually have. So this is on curve, might ignore guard, but in general it can be just a fast poke if necessary. Yeah. You have to have power attack in play before you can follow up with your abilities, so that is a risk, but that's just how it works. Yeah, would want Wake Up Call to be a DP, but it ain't. Burning Tornado. Yeah, Dragon Punch means it's an above curve defensive option, range 2 in particular. So most DPs are 1 to 2, some amount of power, 7 speed. There are 2 other dominant DP shapes, which are the like range 1, speed 8 or 9, and then the range 3, speed 6, which is kind of mostly a different shape entirely called a Whirl. But the idea is that it's above curve on defense without a resource expenditure, is what this wants to be like. I'm not saying that's correct, right? The part of the point of power budget here is that your power budget can be in different places. So when I'm saying like the card wants this, that doesn't mean you should give the card that. That means that's what would make the card really, really good. So yeah, so don't read too much into that. Just saying, like, you know. So Burning Tornado, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4. This is a very awkward shape. Looks like a flash kick. Critical plus 2 power. Brings it from 2 to 4, which is definitely mediocre. Hit, push 1. Well, it's mediocre, but it's definitely worth the crit, right? Crit plus 2 power is definitely worth the gauge most of the time. Hit, push 1 after retreat 2. It is a flash kick.
I think you're the one who gave me that shape.
Fair enough. Yeah, so this is definitely like a sensible shape. It feels underpowered though. Like the fact that this is a delta of 3, it's 2 power, 1 armor, unless you crit, means that this is mostly going to be played as printed to trade badly or to be safe against sweep and focus. That it is safe against sweep and focus is great. But right now I'm feeling like the character at some point had power bonuses that this whole kit was built around that were like stripped away because this just feels underpowered right now. Roll, close 2, if you're not range 1, take another action. That's good. I mean, that's obviously good. Doesn't quite seem as his ability, but yeah.
As I recall, the point of some of these abilities was manipulating my reins to set up other moves. Mm-hmm. Like, the point of this was, I'm at range 2, I use this to open up the reins so that I can dive in or use flying.
And I'm seeing natural flow in that respect. What I'm not really seeing is, like, value. So, like, it seems like he can do a bunch of things, but he's consistently not dealing a lot of damage, not being super safe. So he's gonna just, like, play his kit out effectively and then lose by like 8 to 10 life, is my current estimate.
So you're saying that the damage is a little on the low side?
So far my impression is that he is just a little low on actual power, yes. But I'm definitely not done with the kit yet.
That's fair.
So, alright.
That is fair.
Yeah. So like,
also to note on both roll and quick backdash, both actually proc this trigger on the attack.
That's true. They make Wake Up Call 5 power, which is good. They make it like a natural 5 power. Now, quick backdash, you have to crit this for it to get the value off of that. But if you roll into range 2, then you have a just 1, 2, 5, 6, which is nice. You're still paying a resource for that though, right? Like you're still playing a roll to do it. Of course. So it's okay. But yeah, it is nice that those work together. Excuse me. Alright. Backdraft. I see speed 1-5 guard. That makes this an awkward shape by default. Range 1, critical plus 1 range plus 2 armor. Okay, the crits for armor. Before if you're hit close 3. Okay, this is like Gallant Defender if it had a crit that made it playable. This is not bad. It again feels like, man, it doesn't have actual power, but it does its job. It's 7 defense and it closes 3 and it hits at all the range you need. It's actually a cross counter as well. So this is the first thing that like feels like critting makes it dramatically better to me. Like I don't value Wake Up Call that much as a crit when it's on curve anyway, and the crit on Burning Tornado is not super reliable. Like I'm a little less likely to spend a crit on something that's not like confidently going to hit. especially when I'm spending resources on a lot of other things, mostly my ability.
That's fair.
But yeah, so like this is definitely good. It just doesn't deal damage, right? The delta when critical is only 5, and by delta I mean like if you look at power and armor and sum them together, right? So I'm like you if your opponent plays sweep and you play this, you pay a gauge in this card, you take 4 damage, you deal 3.
I see.
So like you're just numerically not performing well, but as an attack shape, feels fine. Well, we're not done yet. Honestly, if this was a Red Horizon character, this would all be completely normal, except that this would be here, and the ultras would be here. So we're not done yet. All right, so Afterburners, draw 2, add this to gauge. All right, gauge generation, and it's on the maybe best special, but the special that cost gauge. Yeah, okay. Well, I definitely will play this card both ways, which is good. But I think I usually play Afterburners because I see the gauge giving me value.
As well as the draw.
Yeah, the draw is nice, but the draw is like I'm doing a CC2 action. I just have to also get a gauge out of it. Looking at it, this is the thing that I want the crit on the most. It's whether I feel like I'm confident spinning on Burning Tornado. We'll see. The value of this is going to depend on the ultras a lot, because how important are those ultras? We'll see. In general, I'm going to put this middle of the road, though. Like, it's good. Feels solid.
Okay.
Alright, Heroic Flying Kick. What a name. Before advance 3, critical hit, push 3 or 4. So it's a 2 gauge, 3 to 4, 6, 5. It's kind of like an EX dive, 2 gauge, with a hit that, you know, makes it beat sweep. So, you know, if you make it a 3 gauge ultra. Yeah, feels again just a little under. Not terrible. Definitely a playable card. Definitely a card that I would play for damage when I have, like... Yeah, because it's also... This is actually probably the card that so far shines the most with the character ability. Otherwise, I'm using it mostly on normals, where I'm like, let me go play an on-curve assault. Let me go to range 2 and throw a spike cross mix-up. And then I do this, and I'm like, let me go to range 3 or 4 and play an attack my opponent can't dodge that will deal 6 damage. Because they've probably been trading with my other stuff so far. May as well get some damage in now. Determination is good. Numerically balanced is printed. I think I prefer the attack the majority of the time, but I guess it's nice to be able to spend, you know, to turn this into different resources if I don't have the gauge. That's fine.
Yeah, that was the idea for that, I believe.
Yeah. Feels like it might be more interesting if it was then you may take the move action, or like draw 4, then you may take the move action. Like just to kind of synergize with the ability.
That could be kind of cool, yeah.
Because then, especially if you're out near full hand size, you draw over, then you spend so that you're under, and then strike with your ability. And then even if you only moved 1 space, you can still be over, and like you still have very high hand, a lot of options to strike with. Feels like it naturally synergizes with your ability. You know,
that's a really cool idea. I like that a lot.
I think I saw that on Moriarty's Captain America first, is when I saw somebody do that. But
wait, Captain America?
Yeah, he's working on a Marvel set.
That thing.
Yep. Alright, Heroic Axe Kick. This is a better ignore armor. 1, 5, 4. Critical plus 3 speed. Hit if you move 3 or more spaces, ignore armor. Yeah, okay, it does. So this is 3 gauge. This is 4 gauge. 1, 5, 7. With hit ignore armor, but only if you moved 3 or more spaces. Which is actually a pretty hard sell.
That's pretty much going to probably be triggered off of...
It's going to be this, or it's going to be this plus one other thing, mostly, right? Yeah. Or it's going to be one of these plus character ability. Either way, you're paying a lot of resources on this. Like,
yeah,
probably this is 4 gauge and like 2 to 3 force, depending on how you count your force. It's just not strong enough for that amount of resource expenditure, is what it feels like.
Yeah, I think I undervalued a lot of the power on this character it's turning out.
Yeah. Yeah, most things feel reasonable, but the power is a little low, as in sum total. Like, it doesn't all need to be buffed, but ignition. Oh, okay. Well, there's some power. All right. Yeah. This card gets boosted all the time. I imagine
I do want it to be playable as not boost sometimes, but
yeah, like the attack is you have an ignore armor option that's incredibly expensive, or I could play this boost and now I have, you know, on curve spike. Yeah, it feels like the ults are supposed to be the payouts. They're just not quite worth it. Sorry, I'm putting this here. That's misleading. I actually think it's probably here, and mostly because of the boost. Otherwise, I would drop it one more. So this all feels pretty close together. This is not a bad thing, by the way. Like, this is actually remarkable. Most customs are going to have stuff that's here and stuff that's here. So it shows that you've done a number of iterations of this. But I actually just think that the total amount of power budget in the kit is just a little too low. So you have a lot of possible options for how you want to do that. Blue's suggestion, as in the chat, Blue's 23280. Sorry, 232380 was like buff the ults. So
yeah, definitely. I think that's a good idea.
yeah, because that puts you in the territory of like, I have a lot of pokes that mostly trade down. I can crit them for different types of value, but I prefer to save up for an ultra that I can slam a lot of resources into to confirm good value. And having played a lot of Red Horizon, that is a perfectly legitimate design pattern. You know, there's definitely characters that do that. That's what Reese is like if you can pressure him enough that he doesn't get to exceed efficiently. Is Reese has crappy specials that are like niche trade down, builds enough gauge that he can blow you up when he finally has the gauge to use his ultras.
So where would you actually put this power, these the things into to increase the value of this in general?
That's a fair question. I mean, in raw terms, like heroic flying. So notably, right now, if I strike at range 4, I lose to sweep. If I can push 3, like if the board allows me to push 3, then I don't lose to sweep, but I lose to focus. That kind of hurts. Just that there isn't, like, I can set up these ranges, but there's not much to do at the longer ones. At 3, I can be on curve and be okay. Heroic could be 7, printed power, or the crit could be +2 power.
That's what I would want for heroic. Not exactly this shape.
Not the exact same
I
shape,
like this shape, but like crit +2 power in this shape.
Yeah.
Probably
Crit
a little bit
power,
of push, just baked into it.
Yeah, crit +2 power and just making the natural hit push 2 would make sense, because crit +2 power makes this a 2 gauge that turns into a 3 gauge that beats sweep and focus, right? And you're definitely getting what you paid for at that point. You still have to set up the positioning for it, and you don't actually have like trivial ways to do that unless you start in specific places. But that's what your ability's for. That's what your boosts are for. Like, these are, you have the tools to do it without question. It's just, is it enough for you to do? And so just starting with that would be totally sensible. Determination, making that the move action instead would be, would feel cooler.
I agree, definitely.
Yeah. As for heroic axe kick, this,
I think what I want for this is, I'm going to list 3 things. Do not do all of them. 2 gauge printed cost, 6 power, moved 2 or more spaces this turn.
So is this a do 1 of these or do 2 out of these out of 3?
You could probably get away with 2. If you do all 3, you're making a card that is very dumb.
Yeah. Which,
I mean, that's just Red Horizon.
You can do that. At that point, you probably don't also buff the other ultra though, because at that point you probably have to have a, only one playable ultra, which,
That's not what I would want.
This is also a very dangerous checkmate tool with, for example, if you keep it, if you make it 2 gauge and then 6 printed power, then it is a 3 gauge, 1, 6, 7, which is pretty good. Even if you don't ignore armor, it's pretty good.
Yeah. It would then cost potentially 5 or 6 total. to actually ignore armor.
Yeah, and like what you would probably be seeing then is roll combos is how you would be doing that if you wanted to ignore armor, do a set of an ignore armor checkmate. Because roll is one of your more efficient ways to actually move 3 or more in a turn, along with backstep and lunge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do one of these, then you move action, and then you strike. Is the most efficient way to do that setup, right? Like depending on where you start.
Yeah, I can easily see going a quick backdash into this to get back into range for a heroic axe kick.
I think that's the like canonical setup, by which I mean it's the obvious synergy. It's just where do you start is whether or not that works, whether you decide to do other setups and other threats, you know. I do generally like the shape of this character in that you have a bunch of tools that mostly work. It just seems like he doesn't have a really decisive endgame, and the ults are a pretty natural way to lead out of that.
Yep,
Into that
that's why my suggestion would be mostly to focus on these for literal power budget.
Yep. Yeah, because power is probably the only thing he's lacking. I don't know.
Alright, then yeah, I'll probably buff these with some power. Honestly, I do like the idea of making this a 2 and a 6 there. Making this go up to 2 to ignore armor would just probably be too much. Because the ignore armor
always does it.
It's with the speed combined with whatever else I do with it, it's just gonna start getting crazy, I think.
I would agree.
This thing gets past.
Yeah, that is the idea of it, yeah. And I think you generally would, like, I think generally games are more interesting when instead of I always have this checkmate and I always play this as my canonical way to end the game, I have efficient high damage that is going to be tempting me to burn away resources, and then I can set up a checkmate, but it takes enough work that it's like, this is actually part of why, if I may go on a tangent here, the 2-gauge, 4-gauge Ultra combination was seen a few times in 7th Cross, where you go, alright, and I think once, at least once in Red Rise, and one of my mains did this. Where you go, alright, here's your, like, really good in-game Ultra that is amazing and costs a ton of resources. And here's your cheaper, efficient Ultra that works pretty well, but isn't nearly as guaranteed, and isn't nearly as dumb. And the gap between them is where you go, man, I'm really tempted to use this more efficient thing to try to get damage in now. Or I could wait and save up for this bigger thing, but if that gap is wide enough, then like players have to struggle over that decision, and that's cool. That's good. Like you know, it's good to have players go, I feel like I want to do both of these things. I can't really do both of these things in the time frame I want to. I have to make a decision about which thing I want to do. You know, what thing I want to plan for. I like tension. I like hard decisions. So, I'm notably biased, right? I made an entire set based on your resources are... You don't have enough resources to do what you want to do, so... Wait, how long did you say it had been since you've been in Exceed?
At least a year, probably closer to 2.
Okay, I was just curious. I don't remember if you were before or after BlazBlue.
The last set that was actually released when I was playing... cameras aren't set. Why aren't the cameras set? That's so weird.
Yeah, the camera's a little bit janky. I'm still trying to figure out... The camera jank is not intentional. I'm still working out how I want to deal with that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, Shift 7, but Shift 7 is not working. So the last things that were here when I actually was playing was, I think, Street Fighter. Like, Street Fighter had just came out.
Gotcha.
And
been a minute.
Oh, it was Street Fighter or Shovel Knight, but I think it was Street Fighter.
Gotcha.
I think Shovel Knight was on the horizon, but not out when
I
played.
I think Shovel Knight was like coming out. You guys had it in the closed beta stuff or whatever. And I remember seeing some of the characters going, "Oh my god, what the hell is Enchantress?"
Quite a thing. But yeah, so I was referring to BlazBlue there. So you probably haven't played with them yet. But Season 5 is one of the primary themes of Season 5 is limited resources. Like you have more things you want to do than you have the resources to do them. So when you want to play characters that create that tension, most of Season 5 is going to be doing that, where you look at your cards and you're like, okay, I want to do all these things and I can't do all of them. For the exact opposite experience, you can go to season 6, which is
that is true. That
all
is
the
what it's
resources
designed to
Yeah, you can do all the
work
things you want to do.
against.
Like season 6 is here are all the things that you can do, and you can do all of them. Go for it. Like you're not going to be able to push the buttons that they gave you to push. It is just so like you have those options.
I just know
then-
the only one of these who actually looked interesting to me was Mika, because he's a wild swinger, and those have always been my favorite character types.
Mika has been very entertaining to me. I don't feel like I fully understand her, but she's entertaining and she has some fun stuff. Go
Also,
to answer your question. Jungi designed Molly. Thanks again, Jungi, if you're watching this.
I have to ask, because it's been bugging me since I saw it in the mod. Why is this one still grayed out, but there's actually a character here?
Well, do you want the joke ruined? Because if you want the joke ruined, just highlight Wald's 2 spaces over from Wagner.
If you are not familiar with the Cast of Winter Night, it may not be immediately apparent. In fact, it may be impossible to tell that this card has been slightly modified from its original version. But the very astute observer will notice that there's some subtle tells here which suggest that this card may not actually quite correlate with what we can expect to go to print for Wagner.
I see.
I'll leave it to the viewer to see if they can figure out the clues that I'm leaving. It's very subtle.
Oh no, it looks fine to me.
Wagner has notably been played in an official level 99 stream, the IRL one, and all of her cards were shown during that, so theoretically you could write them down and play with the character.
I see.
Theoretically.
Yeah. I mean, you can go make proxies if you want and play with proxies, but in the module that I maintain, I ensure that only the finest of legitimate sources are represented.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, that explains why this one was gray, but it still had a card.
When is Byakuya getting revealed, though? God.
I think
Never.
Marco suggested that Byakuya might get revealed this week, but that is the closest thing we have to any kind of.
If he said that today, it's an April Fool's joke.
Wouldn't put it past him.
Wouldn't surprise me actually. Yeah.
See, we're going through all these power badges. Now I want to do a power badge with my Dissidia characters. Problem, I have no clue how to make a JSON.
You should ask for help on that. Probably not right now.
Oh yeah, no, not right now.
But that is a thing in principle that I'm happy to help with, and certainly the Breakfast Club is in general, because that's literally the point of the server.
Fair enough.
So somebody will help.
And pretty much every step of the way there, someone can help you. Notably, I believe these templates, the one that includes the 7th Cross and Red Horizon frames, I think it has instructions on how to export what you make in GIMP and then put it into TTS.
Whoops.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So the template. There's 2 versions of the template. One is for an individual card. It's labeled individual card template. Go figure. And the other is not labeled that. It's just like card template. The one that is not for individual cards has like a 3x3 grid, and one of the empty slots is just a set of instructions.
Gotcha.
So it's like card template.2.4.xcf, I think, is the most recent one, and then the bottom center card slot kind of runs through. Here's roughly how the template works, and then the middle and last sections are here's how you make a sheet in TTS and import it and create a JSON and all that. So that is hopefully of some value, but also, like I said, you can ask around the server and folks will guide you through it.
Okay.
So I just finally opened up the GIMP file for Shinra, and apparently I had been modifying it, but I hadn't exported it. So I've already made some changes that weren't in this first, including raising most of the power across the board.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
you clearly noticed that deficiency. Across the board might be excessive.
Yeah,
but,
I
Yeah,
do
across the
think
board
I
is
need to
dangerous.
bring back some of the power on what I did here.
yeah.
No such thing as too many buffs.
Like Burning Tornado probably would be totally fine at 3.
That
I-
is
the
definitely-
rest of these
Tornado.
I'd be a little leery of. Maybe
Burning Tornado
backtrack
I had
to
at 4, so I'm going to bring that back down to 3. Why
4 is high, but not insane. Just it depends where you want
Why-
to put it, right? That's the question. Is like if you want to put as much power as we kind of sketched into ultras, then +2 power per card is way too much. But
Yeah.
you can pull the levers. That's how power budget works. Like take some away one place, put it the other place.
Okay, I think I don't have the fonts installed, which makes this much more difficult.
If you
Oh, I don't have
re-download the
fonts
template, it should
installed either.
include the fonts.
There's a folder called fonts in the Google Drive directory.
Huh.
Yeah, but how does that work with Linux?
They should be open type font or true type fonts, which like Linux should just be able to install them.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't cause problems.
Sorry, I was distracted. Where'd I find these?
So did the shared Google
Should be in resources, I'm pretty sure. The resources channel in the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, on this server, if you go to the resources channel, then the very first link in it is going to be to my public Google Drive folder, which is for custom character resources. In that folder, there is a folder called fonts, which has a text file called Exceed Fonts, I'm pretty sure, which just describes basically the notes that I've taken of which fonts are used in which templates. And then there's going to be, whenever I could gather them, the actual true type font files or open type font files.
Okay.
Did I lose you,
Here
or
we
did you?
go.
Okay, you got it.
I found the folder.
Cool.
My God, there's a lot of fonts in here.
Yes. Because it's for all the different templates that are being used.
I'm gonna just have to
Well,
figure out what I
actually,
need
not
to
even all of
download.
them. I need to add some of them, but yeah.
So in other words, I need to make each and every word a different font. Got it.
I mean, for an April Fool's custom, maybe, sure. That is one of the more cursed options.
Out of curiosity, do you still have Discord?
I do, I think.
Because I'd love to see a game of you playing Discord again, because that was just absolute insanity, and April Fool's is the best time to play Discord.
I'm not sure if I have the most recent version, but I definitely have a version of Discord that was somewhat recent.
Uh-oh.
This is the
Oh
readable
no, he
version.
broke.
Oh, it died.
He broke. Discord. No.
I mean, isn't that
Discord.
just thematic? It's Discord.
Are y'all getting image links or something? Or image linkers?
Yeah, the image is not loading.
Got it. Okay, so then
He's dead.
this was presumably hosted
We
maybe on my
can-
Steam Cloud, but it's
We can bring him back to life because I definitely have him cached.
yeah, I haven't cached. I can see him on the stream, so this is cached on my end.
Yep. Mine is not cast. I
Yeah.
cannot restore Discord.
Probably this means that I uploaded him prior to my Steam Cloud crashing and losing all the files on it, so it's just not going to exist as such. But yeah, that does mean he is recoverable because we have the images cached. Otherwise, he
Well,
wouldn't
that's
have me
great.
at all.
I
do not
don't
think.
know if I have a folder for him. Do I still have? I may not have the version of Discord that you made, because you technically took my Discord and turned him into something that was actually good.
I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I don't think I have your original. I think I have the one that I made because when I made it, I saved it.
I have at least one older
Okay,
version of Discord too, I think.
I have both versions of Discord, it looks like, because I have my crazy wild swing version, as well as one that cares about the discard pile, and I know that was your thing.
If you want to bring any of those back to life, assuming I was in a room where they were pulled out, I should still have them cached. I'm very judicious about preserving my cached files.
Can confirm, he is.
That's better than I was, because I sure as hell didn't. Clearly. I'm sure my Samus is well and truly dead, but I also know my Samus wasn't all that good, so I don't care.
That's fair. Yeah, I have a couple of versions of your Samus, but I remember that Samus having issues as well.
Naofumi was bad. Just bad. I could not come up with the version of Naofumi that I liked.
I don't actually even recognize that name. I'm not sure who that character is.
He was the sealed hero guy.
Oh, I should recognize that name. I've seen the first couple episodes of that.
You
somebody else
certainly
mentioned
did. The
Yeah, and I like
the,
it.
sec-
I
the
was like, I
second
wanna watch more
season
of
of that is airing. I think in a couple days.
that.
Really?
Shoot.
Yeah.
I guess
Hell
I'll watch
yes!
the original at some point.
That's great news. I didn't know the second season was coming already.
I mean, it was announced like right when the first season finished. Seasons 2 and 3. So it's been a while now.
I didn't know they were even announced. I hadn't followed the news for that.
I'm all about that anime.
I am too, but I don't really have a hand on the how do you put it? I don't follow the
schedules?
news for anime very much.
Yeah.
I just see what shows up on my websites that I watch anime on, and sometimes I catch stuff. All right,
Alright.
someone asked me how to make Captain Ginyu, and that thing was silly as hell.
All right, y'all.
I forget about
I'm starting to get tired. I can do maybe like 1, maybe 2 for fast more things. Anybody got requests?
If you can store Discord, then I want to see Discord played.
That's, I'm not gonna be doing that tonight. Sorry.
That's fair.
You've done a power bunch I'm missing no already, right?
I don't think so. Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe.
This looks so silly with suddenly.
It
with
feels
that
reasonably
face.
likely that I might have.
Yeah, because I think I recall it, but I'm not sure if that was actually like a thing you did or not.
Don't remember. Yeah, don't recall. I don't know.
Although I think that might take up whatever few brain cells you have.
Yeah, that's also my thought is, can I actually do another power budget? I'm not sure I can.
I don't think so.
Honestly, I think I enjoy this watching the game at this point. As much fun as the power budgets are.
That's fair.